Hi, this is G.H. Glade for Coaching ADD. Well, we're in the middle of a virus pandemic and seeing a lot of people, I've noticed some trends. And the current trend is really losing motivation to do something. And along with motivation is really getting to it on your goals. What happened to your goals during this pandemic? Did they get the virus too? Stay tuned and find out what you can do to get back on the horse and get going on your goals again and beat that lack of motivation that has affected so many of us. Well, I get asked the question, if I give up on my goals, am I a quitter? No. Sometimes it helps to be able to pivot. A later step will be to reevaluate your goals and make sure they're meaningful. And that's also a starting part. You want goals that really are meaningful in their life, be it to be a better spouse or to get more exercise or lose weight or do a particular project. What is meaningful for you? But sometimes you have to pivot. A goal of mine was to have a bipolar support group. And I was in the planning stage, and then along came coronavirus. Well, that wasn't going to happen. I needed to pivot. I needed to look at what other goals I might have for that. So steps to really bring your goals back to life. First of all, your goals have to be objective. What do you want to accomplish? And we want to get you out of that sort of vague, oh, I want to feel better. Well, of course, ask yourself, what's the question that you need to answer in order how you're going to feel better? How are you going to take steps to do that? Being a better spouse. Well, that's nice, but still kind of vague. What are the steps you're going to take to be a better spouse? Make this objective. You have to know exactly what you're shooting for to be able to reach it. The next thing is have those goals be measurable. One of the goals I have is to work out every morning. And I have a dry erase board on the door out to where I have my exercise bike and all the other exercise equipment. And I put a check mark that shows me on a week-by-week basis whether I'm hit my goal. My goal is 5 out of 7 days a week. Yeah, I get 2 days off. I get to have a little room in that. It's not an everyday goal. And goals don't have to be every day. But I cut myself a little bit of slack, but I measure it. The other thing that I do with that is declarative. My wife knows what that little row of the days on our dry erase board means. It means, have I exercised? So she knows by looking, and it's a way of declaring my goal so other people can really see it, see that I am meeting my goal. And that gets into that notion of accountability. You know, oftentimes we pair up for goals and we want an accountability buddy, somebody to do that with us. And there are a variety of groups that seek to do that. Many of the group meetings, be it 12-step meetings or things like Weight Watchers, they provide that accountability, that sort of saying, well, this is how I did with my goal this week. So you want those goals to be measurable. So, step by step, are you reaching those? I always ask the question, what would make it easier for me to reach my goal? Let's take my goal of exercising. One of the things I do is I go to sleep in clothes that are suitable for exercising in, because I do my exercise the very first thing in the morning. Yeah, I feed my little dog and I get my cup of coffee and out I go to the exercise bike. But I have no friction to that. I just walk right out because I'm already dressed in things that are suitable to work out in. So ask yourself, what are the things that you can do to reduce the friction in your achieving your goals? We want goals to be easy and reachable, and we want to take away all those barriers. Ask yourself, What are those barriers to me actually going and doing them? In an earlier episode, we talked about time boxing. Part of that is when you're going to do it. That aspect of that is so important in terms of having a goal. Really leaving a time where you devote X amount of minutes to doing that particular goal. And I'll include a link at the end of the video for time boxing in a previous video that I did. That's relevant to revisit at this point in time. So if you're finding this useful content for you, first of all, I'd really appreciate you giving it a like. I take a fair amount of time to do this and thought. And if it's useful for you, go ahead, reach right down now and give me a like. The other thing I really appreciate is, what are your comments? This week, I would really like you to write down, what are the goals or goal that you want to reinvigorate after this week? Make a commitment to those by declaring it. Declare it in the comments section. And most of all, what I like you to do is share. If this is useful content for you, it's going to be useful content for other people. So let's go on. Again, how do you know you're staying on track? I talked a little about my metrics, if you will, with exercise. But it helps to have some times where you revisit and reevaluate whether you're on track. And the best way to do this is metrics. Let's take a client of mine. Their goal was to relax more because they identified with being kind of a workaholic. And we set up some tangible goals. But one of the things we did is, at the end of the day, we used a mood tracking app. And there are a couple that I like. I like moodtracker.com. Dailyo is excellent as well. But at the end of the day, this client would say, okay, what was my mood like today? And then they think about what correlated with me actually doing better at relaxing. They had other metrics involved with that in terms of how much they schedule themselves, having a firm cutoff for work, and whether they actually met that firm cutoff. Those are important to look at those metrics periodically and evaluate. Are you reaching your goal? Now, I talked a little bit about tracking through the course of this video, but one of the cautions is to not track too many things. We don't want you to spend all of your time working on an app and reflecting, and we want you to have time to breathe and time to enjoy life. So I want you to track just 2 or 3 important goals for yourself. What are the most meaningful ones? What are ways that you have of tracking those? We don't want to get so boggled down in the details of tracking too many things. Now, wrapping it up, a bigger step, and I do this sometimes quarterly, is I evaluate my goals. Are they still the most meaningful things for me to hit? Are they still the most important kinds of things in my life that I want to accomplish? And part of that, are my goals too easy? Do I need to step up my game? Have I consistently been meeting those? Well, maybe it's time to push that edge upward. These are all things that I do in the quarter. And I have that question that I ask, is what I'm doing actually working? And that's a fundamental question that I save that for a quarterly evaluation. Yes, I will put my best effort into something for a quarter, but I always want to come back and reevaluate. Call that the remnant of being taught about nursing process, where a step is always reevaluate, are you getting your results? So this is G.H. Clay for Coaching ADD. And again, let me remind you, give me a like for this. I want to see your comments on what is your most important goal that you are going to get back on track with. Save it in the comments. And that's a way of being declarative, throwing it out in the universe and saying, hey, I am declaring I am going to meet this goal. So I look at all the comments, and trust me, I like to respond back to you because you're the folks that this video platform is made for. Until next week, and next week is next Monday, where I release a new video. Take care and have a great day.